Hello guys, this is the last episode from our heads up matches, and we chose like 9 hands for review from our game.
Yep, what's up? Let's go.
Okay. Versus a very aggressive ISO opponent. I'm limping this hand.
Yeah, definitely. The offsuit aces are the best to limp jam. However, take into consideration the fact that even though my ISO is high, it still could be a bit of abbreviation. Especially you can correlate it with my high ISO call. So this is kind of a proof that I didn't do it like randomly, right? There are seven spots, and here 7 BB plus. Yeah, like most of them, right? 30 times, 30 hands. So
yeah, that's true. So here the board is pretty wet, and with one overcard and a gut shot, I don't mind to check back and realize my equity. So yeah, that's what I decided to do.
Yeah, especially you can call every probe, even overbet probes. So definitely agree.
Yeah, here just going for a standard delay. As if CuAt is not betting, I could go to like check back once again, but as he's not betting, I can see like some sixes and deuces in his range that I would like to fold out with 2 bets. I don't know if you like the idea.
Interesting. Personally, I don't often do it against Rex. I would rather to check and maybe hunt for my river delay probe. This would be my approach, especially that if you look closer, like my fold to delay and then to delay and bet is kind of little. Like right now, my check raise maybe isn't like too high, but I feel like by delay and betting, it's hard to achieve like lots of folds, especially I could have some weak 10s, 8s. So probably I would just go to the showdown and call my river bluff.
Okay, makes sense. Yep, so this is a card I'm going to bet surely. Like I have a lot of queen jacks, queen nines, and all kind of queens here by checking on the flop. So definitely I want to like target your weaker range, and after you check called 75% delay in like I don't see myself having showdown value here. How do you see this?
Yeah, totally agree. Like if you decided to delay, definitely you need to barrel, because just delaying without barreling would be kind of not the greatest game plan. But definitely barreling, especially on super completed river. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely agree. Yeah.
So what did you have?
Okay, yeah. So I checked the hand and I just had a value bet, just queen deuce. And I didn't want to jam because, as you can see, I still raised over my half of my stack, because I don't want to put like maximum pressure if Vers has something like queen, and it might look like a cheap bluffing raise, so something like that. And I find it a common misconception when players are afraid to raise for their 60% of the stack or something like that, because of and saying that, whoa, what would you do if he decides to jam? And actually, it's like snap fold, like almost no one bluffs there, and it's like super rare spot. So I wouldn't really like be worried about it. Even if it happens like 5% of the time or something like that. So I still prefer focusing on targeting, some maybe 10 or 8 that decided to delay and bet. And I think that's still in Vers range to just go for delay and bet in value bet with some hand like, I don't know, Jack 8 or King 8. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, makes sense. So another hand that I have here. Right. What's your play here on the big blind?
We're so shallow. I think I would check raise from big blind close to everything. As a standard against myself, probably I would do different things. Most likely, I would try to do something about my high bet check bet and little fold versus river probe. So something like either check raise versus bet check bet, and it would be like a thin value, but sounds interesting, or yeah, just river probe. Most likely, I would not call because this board, like we both know that there are no aces in big blind nor in small blind range. So I often find this board like one of the obvious boards to triple barrel, and like many great regs know about it. So I don't really like triple barreling because I wouldn't be surprised to get called down from king high. So most likely I'll either bet check bet or most likely I'll bet check bet this board for bluff. So with your hand with such equity, I don't mind check raising, as I would do the same with king high, with queen high, with backdoor flush draw, with three, with gut shots, and like one of the best hands that you can check raise and simply call versus the river jam. Yeah, I would just do min raise or 2.5. I think both are great.
Yeah, and here it's kind of weird in my opinion. I mean, I don't have a clear like value shove now, but for denying equity from hands like 5-4 or any other gut shots that you might have, I'm wondering now if it's not better to just jump here. I remember I checked here, but what do you think?
Interesting. Let's start from our stack size pre-flop, which was exactly 10 BBs, right? Minus 112. So we had even less than 10 BBs. So it's worth asking ourselves, like, how many actually aces and kings I have in my range, and not many of them.
Probably
so actually
suited broadways, yeah.
Yes. So these are like not many combos compared to the whole range. Obviously, I could have some, ace 10 suited plus and ace king off suited and suited broadways, like you say.
Some pairs as well.
Yeah, so not that much compared to the whole range. Especially there are not that many off-suited cards, which are the biggest. The biggest. They have the most combinations. So I wouldn't be that afraid of ace or king. So I think it's a great card that might look like it's it hits my range. So I might be more prompt to bluff. So I really like checking, especially that I still could have some missed backdoors. I mean, okay, with you block clubs, especially 10 of clubs. If I had queen of clubs or jack of clubs, most likely I would just go to the showdown. Probably I wouldn't just fire the turn. But if I had a flush draw on spades that I decided to bet call on the flop, I would just jump the turn. I think similarly, if I had something like a gut shot, so I really like checking. And by checking also, you allow me to, do some funky move with total no equity hands.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Especially, I think here that if I check raise this board, that I don't think you have so many aces as we were talking on the flop, and I check on the turn, I look like kind of I'm giving up the spot, as you said that this king seems like it's your range so much. So yeah, I was thinking now about jamming, but yeah, you talked me into a check, so I like it as well.
Yeah, I think as you can easily check call versus jam against my semi bluffs, and there are not many worse cards that you value bet at the same time, I would definitely be more happy to check call.
Yeah, now it's getting pretty weird with those two cards, and I decided to check, and I remember you jammed. And from my perspective, I see here like still a lot of I think you are capable of jamming here 7-5, for example, or 7-4. So that's why for this thin value jams, I think that this 7 is pretty very bad for me. You still have, of course, 5-4. Yeah, you would jam some missed draws like 4 deuce, this flash draws or backdoor spades or 5 deuce. But still, I think, yeah.
Keep in mind that whenever you think of my combinations, you need to think of offsuited combinations. And we are 9 BB deep or 10 BB deep. Do you think that I have 5 deuce or 4 deuce offsuited 9 BB deep?
Yeah, you probably don't have, yeah.
Yeah, these combinations doesn't really exist in my range.
Yeah, so that's even less bluffs, I guess. And still, 8s, 9s, and 10s, I think you're jamming here too. Jacks, queens, doesn't matter. So yeah, I think I decided to fold. I don't know what you had, but I decided.
I had an ace. I had ace jack suited.
Okay.
Yeah, ace jack suited. So this hand was in the range. Yeah, and I checked the turn because I assumed that hey, if you have a flush draw, if you had a flush draw, you would just jump the turn. So obviously, besides pair plus flush draw that could be only a 6 plus flush draw. Or 3x in spades, there are not many flush draw combos, so I don't need to protect from anything. And if you have a gut shot, I prefer checking the turn for deception rather than betting for protection, just to protect, for outs.
Yeah, especially the out fold. Yeah, the gut shot.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided to check ace jack on the turn, and yeah, I totally agree that I don't have many bluffing combos like this deuce 4, deuce 5. However, most likely, I think I would turn into a bluff my queen x's and jack x's that I have a few as well. However, what I think it's also important, if you had in your hand this kicker, if it's like queen 6, jack 6, or 10-6, either in clubs or spades, you're bluffing my backdoors. Because if I had a hand like
blocking him.
Jack 10 of spades or queen 10 of spades or whatever, you simply block my backdoors. If I had queen 10 or king 10, right, with 10 of heart, 10 of spades, I would definitely bet call to check raise.
Sure.
So having this kicker is one of the worst, actually, because you block my error range. The question is, what would I do with a 3? Because I think if I had a 3, okay, it's somewhere between calling flop and jamming flop, but let's say I don't have many 3s in my pre-flop range. But yeah, I think overall it's very interesting spot, because from exploitative spots, it seems like a very good fold on the river because there are not many bluffs in my range. However, especially with this kicker, right, with 9-6, I think it would be better to call. But looking from the unexploitable point of view, where actually you're kind of on the top of your range, right? Only, okay, you could have some 2 pairs. If you had something like 3-6, you could play like that. And actually, the thing is that it's hard to find any check calling range if you go for such a hero fold. And even though against my range this is great, it's worth basically keeping in mind if actually my range won't change, because folding on the river will be kind of visible after some time, and obviously some stat will shine more at some point. So I think at this moment, it's a fair approach to go for a hero fold, but at the same time we should be we should watch out for my bluffing frequency, that if it raises.
Yeah, just when we play versus a good rack, we need to remember not to let him play his game from start to the beginning, and sometimes we have to make him uncomfortable as well. Yeah, I understand what you said. Okay, let's go to the other hand. 16 BB deep. Standard c-bet from my size. In limp pots, I usually just versus Rex. I usually bet like half pot mostly. So, what do you think about it? Can we change it, or how? When?
So all depends on our opponent's strategy. If I am loose, for example, this is a common misconception as well. If someone sees my stats like folding less than 40, check raising 26, and often these stats, these are my stats against like 1 BB bet, for example, in limped pot. It doesn't mean that I would play exactly the same, or even here, that I would play exactly the same if you increase the sizing. So often with value, it's better to stick to the sizing because I play pretty wide. And with some hands that are, let's say, bottom, that are top folding range to check raise and top folding range to probe. So for example, some backdoors or something like Jack 10 offsuited, some hands that basically have some equity, but we don't really want to call the check raise or call the probe. It's interesting to pick the next the other line, which is simply increasing the sizing on a flop and either like 3/4 or pot size bet. But it sounds interesting to test how our opponent approach this sizing.
Yep.
As a standard, probably I wouldn't do it. Maybe, I mean, I would do it only against guys who are pretty sticky and aggressive in both lines. So we see that we simply don't want to call versus check raise. We don't want to call versus probe. We don't have delay opportunities. Then we try to find, the path starting from bigger flop sizing.
Yep, I agree. Okay, there's no reason, I think, for me to raise it. Yeah, you have some gut shots, but still, I think that's the only play here. It's just a call. Okay. And here we have, for the good side, we have two options now, not three. So it's easier because we cannot raise. But yeah, I think that I folded this hand, and there are a few reasons for that. The flop was like super dry, so there are not that much backdoors that it could be if there will be at least two cards close to each other, like 7 and 9 or something. Yeah, I don't block spades, that's true. So this actually goes for more towards a call, but there are still 4-3. I think you can change into a bluff 5-4, 5-3 here as well. So now we have more and more combos, but you're definitely not doing it with a 9, a king that calls the flop as well. So those are like, from your value range, it's like deuce X or 4-3, and from your bluffs are like 5 X's that are blocking straight draws and some backdoor spades, I think. And I decided to fold. I'm not sure because the price is pretty big. What did you have, and what do you think?
So I had a deuce here, deuce 5 actually. So I decided to jump simply because I block a 5. So, I assumed that your range is either ace or 9, so we could increase the sizing. Personally, I don't think I would bluff a 5 here, because still you could have some king highs, you could have some missed flush draws, so with 5 I would check.
Yeah.
But my bluffing range would be all the backdoors, like for example, Jack 10, 10-8, 7-8, 6-7.
And you are donking it 25% with 7-8, 10-8.
Yeah, on the turn, definitely. Yeah. Like, the board is super dry. I mean, yeah, definitely. No matter if I had a flush draw or not. Mm-hmm. Because still it's pretty hard to construct the bet flop call versus donk bet calling range. You would need to call all king highs. and even more. Especially, it's 25 BB bet, so 25% bet. So I only need 20% of fold equity.
That's correct.
So you would need to call 80% of your range. So you need to have super wide raising range, calling all kings, most likely all queens, and way wider. So if additionally I would assume that you don't have that many deuces offsuited in your range because of lower VPIP, I think.
Yeah, this seems like a pretty great board to just do what you did with bluff.
Yes, yes, but the main question is how many air cards do I have, and this is about my flop calling range. So yeah, it's matter of this assumption. If it's only 7-8 suited or Jack-10 suited, or maybe also Jack-10 off-suited. Because again, whenever we want to bluff catch, we need to find off-suited combos. There are too little suited combos. So to justify bluff catches usually. So if we assume that I wouldn't do it with hand like Jack-10, Queen-10, Queen-Jack, or I wouldn't call on the flop hand like 7-8 off-suited or 10-8 off-suited, then I think it would be interesting to go with this hero fold. Personally, I would donk super wide, and I would call super wide versus c-bet, but I would also check raise very wide. I think actually that I would check raise more hands like 7-8, 10-8. I would more frequently check raise it, but I would call super frequently this Jack-10, Queen-10, and I think I would use it as a down bet. So these offsuited combos, I think, might be definitely enough for calling against pot size bet. I'm not sure about the jam. I think having a 6 of hearts is actually one of the best card, because you don't block backdoors from the flop that I could call. If I have 6-7 that I called, or 6-8, or 10-6, or Queen-6, or King-6, I don't do it with spades. I don't do it with hearts. I would do it either with diamonds, spades, or clubs. So this this kicker gives basically makes me have more brick backdoors. I think it's very interesting. I'll just base this spot on the dynamic. Personally, I think I would still call, simply because the additional question that I often ask is, if my opponent could bluff, would he ever pick? I mean, would picking lower sizing make sense? And actually, this board is a board where I need to be polarized. It's like very hard for me to find different sizing, because what I want to fold on the river is usually like a king high, not many missed flush draws. And when you think about it, to fold a king high or a 9, I need to cross the pot size. I was not even thinking about, representing something that wants to fold an ace. It's rather like folding a 9 and then king high, that usually if I bluff, I need to pick this sizing. So, and it's like a spot where I don't have anything value bets. I'm super polarized.
Yeah, that's correct. But don't you think that maybe this is like a bit too greedy, this dip? Like two times pot?
I don't think like most of players would fold an ace.
Okay.
I mean, this is one of these spots where I would have value and bluffing jumps, and simply, do it till I get some stats that I assume, or some assumption that I see that someone might be folding to overbets.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So if you assume that this is too greedy, then it's awesome sizing to bluff.
Yeah, that I'm sure about. That it's great for a bluff, but I'm not actually convinced. Is it great for value versus versus a rec. But for bluff, I love it with all the backdoors you said, those 10 ace, jack 10s, etc. I just love it because as you can see, I folded an ace. So
yeah, as a standard, I mean, against the random reg, let's call it that way, I would be just value betting with pot size bet and bluffing rather with higher sizing.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could start with that, and most likely, I don't remember exactly right now, but I might have as an assumption that you might be simply calling versus my overbet jumps on the river.
Yeah, so, maybe.
So I think it's a good thing to do if we bluff and our bluff got caught.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Okay, check. Probe and a call. I think it's pretty okay. And I remember that I shoved here as well. But I need to justify it right now as we played it a week ago. I remember like the outcome, but I don't remember exactly the idea behind it. Probably the idea behind it was just I'm blocking diamonds and I'm blocking straights. So yeah, this makes this idea like reasonable. And definitely I'm not winning this hand if I check. If you have worse hand, you're betting. If you have better hand, you have better hand. So yeah, like thinking about what you can fold here, definitely sevens, fours. I'm not sure if you're folding, for example, a 7 to a 1 half pot bet, for example. I don't know, but you will say it probably in a while. And I just feel like blocking two main value hands here. I just like to overbet bluff. What do you think about this spot and my play?
Interesting. I mean, I agree that with having a king and 3, you block flushes, you block straights. So I don't have like this part of calling range. I'm not sure about jamming. I mean, I like bluffing. I like bluffing with big sizing. But is the jam what we need? Because here, I mean, on this board structure, you have the range advantage. You have more queens. You have these flushes. Actually, not many straight draws missed because even 8-9, 8-10, 9-10 just gets there. Mm-hmm. So most likely you don't have it as a bluffing combo. Just this 5-6, 5-8, 6-8, 3-5, and 3-6. So I don't think that you need to jam. I think pot size bet here or even 3/4 would be great, but jamming sounds okay, especially if this jumps works very well, and it's obviously worth testing. And obviously, the more frequently we should jam, the more frequently someone is like river race happy. Like here, I wasn't definitely bluffing too often this match because I thought like you might be ready for doing some white calls. So I think against river raisers, this overbet jam might be interesting. I think it's a cool idea, and just we need to adjust if we see that someone calls us with. I think even calling with 2 pairs might be too wide for button against such a jam, because here I folded the queen. I had queen 5 of spades. Mm-hmm. So as you can see, it works very well, but I think it's totally enough. As you can see, still by going twice a pot.
The thing against like top dogs is like betting 3/4 on the river here, for example. As you said, as you were saying, I was thinking about the same thing that against river raisers. Like I give you so many opportunities to just like you are so capable of raising, 9-4 with a 9 of diamonds. You are surely jamming probably, and all those kind of hands that now has a 9 or a king there, or even an ace maybe, or an 8. Like there will be so many hands that you can, especially versus a guy who probes and bets a lot. So most of us, yeah. So that's why probably in game I chose to just jam, because I just felt like it might be a better play because I'm the first one who is all in.
Interesting. I think it's a very nice move. Till the moment you see that, I show up with a flush. I mean, yeah, there are two important showdowns. First one is like, like even not queen 5, but something even like king queen, right? Because this is for me enough. If I had like king queen with king of diamonds, this is enough for me to call, because I blocked nuts that you would roll and bet. Or queen 9 with 9 of or queen 8 with 1 diamond. Yeah. That's definitely enough, because I block these nuts. If I see that you do it too frequently, I feel like you might be just bluffing there. As a standard, sounds like very, very cool. As you see, it worked. The first thing is light call, and second thing is like slow playing more. So if you see that I check the flop with more flush draws, and here, if I remember well, at some moment I start after the half of our match, I started playing 0% c-bet. So against 0% c-bet, this is like massive spaz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I have all flushes, I have all straights, I have all 2 pairs, I have basically everything. I'm not capped at all.
I felt like the second part of our match was a bit harder after you like checked the stats. I don't remember exactly what you checked, but I would be keen on watching it later. But exactly, it was pretty interesting spot, I think.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's move further on.
Okay. I'm not betting third pair, as it's a board that get the most check raises, especially from such crazy check raise on the flop.
But this is a very nice adjust, because as you can correlate, like my fold versus second barrel is pretty little. So simply going for check raise, my check raise seems like weak.
Bluffy,
so. Yeah, so simply one of the best combos to rebluff are actually bottom pairs and some backdoor flush draws. So this seems to be very interesting board to like c-bet with plan on 3-betting. I mean, okay, maybe it's like straight possible, so my check raise might not be as high, but still it's something worth considering. Simply betting 3-betting, the same with hand like, I don't know, 8-9 of diamonds or 8-9 of hearts. To simply not to play, to have also aggressive exploit against check raise, not only passive with assumption that we need to check all our medium.
I actually like it. I mean, especially with this high kicker, as some of your bottom pairs you might be check raising as well. Maybe not in this particular spot, but
probably you would.
You would check raise 3-9 here.
There's a chance.
Okay, there's a chance. There's always a chance. But yeah, I like it to even like approach the idea to consider that sometimes against someone who is raising so much, we can, for example, on this 10 big blinds as we are, we can bet shove with our second pair, for example, and if we have a hand that doesn't improve too much on turns and rivers, like this one, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Hand that we cannot call versus second barrel too frequently.
Okay, I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's interesting spot also. Actually, yeah, this hand, I marked this hand, it's more from the meta game, because I noticed that that Vers was skipping c-bet like super frequently. I mean, it was like, if I remember well, like 40% or whatever. But obviously, no wonder if you see stats like that, like why would you c-bet air cards? So I quickly noticed that his delay went up. So simply, obviously, when you see these stats, you don't want to c-bet, but you prefer delaying. So then I changed my strategy to not probe, but rather focus on not folding to delay, to simply check raise delays with some with all equity hands. And here I just decided to go for a min raise simply because, what's the range that bets 3/4 on overcard? Like definitely looks like a queen or total error. It's like polarized range. I would be surprised to see, for example, a week 4 that you would play with 3/4 as a delay.
Rather not.
Yeah, so I thought like, well, it's either a queen or like total error card. So yeah. Personally, I had a gut shot here, like 5-9, if I remember well. And yeah, this is one of the adjusts that I wanted to show and talk about. That most likely, if you had an error card, if you had an error, like, I don't know, Jack Deuce or maybe 8-9 or whatever, you would just check the flop, and I think intuitively just play high delay, as many players do.
I think I would actually go with delay more against you with hands that has absolutely no equity, probably.
Yeah, probably you wouldn't have many opportunities, but yeah, I totally agree with
here.
Yeah, there are opportunities. I totally agree. This is one of the best opportunity against these aggressive players. However, I assume that you would play as a delay, but yeah, maybe it was a long shot. And yeah, I decided to check raise with my gut shot.
I like it. Like, it was very fast adjust actually. But yeah, I had value. So.
But then I just gave up, right? My plan was to fold air cards. So
yeah.
So I didn't want to do anything crazy.
Yeah. We saw that, I think. Oh no, it's another king free. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like exact.
Okay,
what do you think?
So my idea here is just to go for deny equity with my king high. I'm pretty often good here, so that's why I delay here with the king, like kind of for value. Denying equity mainly. Yeah. What do we do, guys, here? Yeah, I mean, those raises, I didn't see this approach then yet, that CuAt was talking about in an earlier hand. But I often do that against players who delay a lot, that if the third or second pair pairs, I tend to check raise with something that has at least one overcard, for example. And I know this play that CuAt did here. So in my mind it was, I would do it with this and this sometimes. So I decided to call. It's pretty thin. It's like